to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink, cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars, crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to.
And welcome everybody to the Man Cave. My name is Paul Knapp, and I will be your host for tonight's show. Tonight is season number 2, episode number 28, and waiting in the green room is our special guest tonight, Mr. Paul Harrison Sr. And if you're not familiar with that name, I'm sure you have purchased some of his items in the past. If you ever bought from Third Son Books, well, he's the owner and operator, so we're lucky to have him on our show tonight. And in the meantime, we will bring in our panel members tonight. First, we have this gentleman right here, Mr. Murray Corrigan from Canada. How are you, sir?
I am well. How are you?
Very good, very good.
That's good.
We got this guy here. Apparently, his college team won this weekend. So did mine. So, Stacy Armstrong, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Very good. And last but not least, it is our good buddy up in New Hampshire. Does New Hampshire even have a college football team? The state of New Hampshire?
I don't know. I think they play tennis or something. I'm not sure.
It's too cold to play tennis up there, man.
And
You got ice hockey. I know they got an ice hockey team. They got to. Mr. Rick Bradshaw, how are you tonight?
Good. How's everyone today?
Very good, very good. So,
Yeah.
what's new in the zoo, guys? I should. We gotta take care of some business first.
Okay.
Tonight is Murray's last episode with us for a while. Apparently, he has to work. He has a job, something like that. He's not retired, so he has to actually go to work. So,
Yeah.
you know,
He
we got
doesn't
10
want
people.
to.
We got 10 people in the chat room already.
I
Maybe we
don't
should wait till
want
later,
to,
but
right.
I think we're gonna have to vote on who's gonna take your place, who's available on Monday nights,
on a
and,
regular basis.
on a regular basis on Monday nights to fill in for you. And you can give some recommendations. It could be people in the past. It could be somebody new.
Well,
And then we're gonna have to contact them and see if they're available, and then
yeah.
you will have your fill in. You know.
Well, I mean, there's always Ange and there's Cause and
Yeah.
Medic Mike and
Medic Mike.
Those
I
guys
actually
are-
asked him to come on tonight, but he was busy.
yeah.
So I was gonna have him be the 5th one tonight. But.
I mean, and then there's like Big Boss.
Big
Jack.
Boss Jack. They don't have internet
He's
down in
here every
Tennessee.
week.
He said, where he's at.
He doesn't have internet there?
It's Tennessee or Kentucky somewhere, man.
Dude, no excuse.
Yeah.
Mike's still GI Dojo.
Mike's the Joe. Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah.
He's in here every week.
He's already
Yeah.
commenting.
Mike says New Hampshire has competitive pinball.
I
playing.
see that.
I have
You
been
got to
at,
do something in the winter.
I have been
right?
at Weir's Beach many, many times.
Oh yeah.
Weir's Beach. Yeah,
My
been
daughter was
pinball
born in
playing.
Dover, New Hampshire. I don't know how close you are to that.
Nowhere near.
No.
No.
And when we were up there, we went to see that man on the mountain, but he's not there anymore. He fell off the mountain.
Yeah, he collapsed. Yeah.
It was actually on the state coin too, and now they can't use that. I guess. Huh?
Well, they can. It's just now a pile of rubble.
Not there anymore. It's a pile of rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go around the room. And Murray, since it's your last night, why don't we start off with you, sir? What's new in your zoo since we talked last week?
Let's see.
Is it Labor Day in Canada too? Do you guys celebrate?
Yes, sir.
It's a Labor Day.
Oh God.
There it is.
Are these things?
This is one of my latest figures.
Yep.
Just managed to get very fortunate and finally get one. I've been every time I wanted one, and Cots had them. Their figure, I had no money. And when I had money, they didn't have the figure. It was like, oh crap. So finally got lucky and got one. And then I got a second figure, and it's really cool. Paul, I think you're gonna like this more than anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got one too, did you?
I did.
Wow.
One of the exclusive Paul
I,
Knapp figures.
Is that a super articulated Paul Knapp?
It
It's
is.
super articulated.
Wow.
I've been looking all over the stores for those, and I still can't find one, Murray. I
They're
don't know how
very
you-
rare.
That's awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
That's a great find. What a great find.
It was. I looked all over.
I thought we were done with that episode. I thought that was a while back.
that episode is done. Yes, this is a new episode.
Ernie, don't jump in on this, okay? They don't need more fuel for the fire. Okay?
Come on, Ernie, you got it.
Oh,
we
God.
can jump in. Oh, we
Said he
can
wants a
hook you
Paul
up,
doll
Ernie.
too. I might have to take one of those to Joe Lana when I go down, and
You might need some royalties if this keeps up.
exactly. Moving right along, Stacy.
Oh, God. Okay.
What is new in your zoo?
All right. Well, I reflocked and eyebrows, lips, and scar painted a bunch of figures today, so they're all done.
Nice.
Nice.
Very
I
nice.
did a few painted heads also.
Cute. Not bad at all.
Oh,
Yeah,
They
nice.
look sweet.
Right. Okay, and then I did.
So you're
I
bored today.
bought a clothing set. I saw one come available for my figure, and it happened to be it was available for the Paul Knapp.
and a finger too. And he's got shorty shorts on.
and shoes. See, there you
Nice.
go.
Look at
You were
that.
complaining about your.
How'd you find the finger?
You're such a bad man. He's got an attitude. This one's got an attitude. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Hey,
And then seriously, I did get my exclusive figure today. And you see, he comes in a nondescript box.
nondescript like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you like that? And he is
Is it nude?
Paul Knapp Voodoo Edition.
Okay.
And it comes with a wooden spear and a club. And
Club?
and the thing says, hit Mr. Knapp in the head with the club, see him lose consciousness. And then the other one says, stick him and watch him scream. So I'm not. What
How'd
is?
you get oh wow! Looks like a lot of people did the voodoo doll there.
Oh,
Looks
my
like
word.
darts.
It was.
That's evil. That's
I'm
dark.
looking at I'm looking at Senior in the
didn't
green
do
room,
that.
and he's like, "What the fuck?"
I got the figure that way. I just.
These guys have no idea. Hey, Rick, if I pull you up and you have a Paul doll, we're done. The show's over, man.
No,
The show is over.
they tried to get me in on this. I said, no way. I know it. I don't want to get kicked off the show. So call me a Debbie Downer, party pooper. No. So I have a couple of things. I'm going to get serious now. I have a couple of things to show. Okay. Are we good?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting.
So
I'm waiting to block you. Is what I'm waiting for.
dude, they begged me. I said, no, I'm not doing it.
Okay.
So this is all these little bits and pieces.
Yep.
These are all the bits and pieces from my
Your car.
112 Tiger up there. I
Oh.
finally got them. So I'll be able to deck out my 112 when I get, 6 hours to spare. And I already showed this on Facebook, but I did do the update on the
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
That's really nice.
The light bar came from a roof rack.
Huh.
But when
You just took it off and okay.
I put the roof rack on it, it made it look like a camper van, and I was like, man, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like a Jeep.
So I wanted to keep with the military kind of thing. And the paint job I did yesterday really subdued the finish and
Yep,
kind of
right.
made it,
Looks good.
makes it look better.
Did you
And
put a
those
matte
pictures
coat on
are
top of that or
fantastic.
no?
No,
No, you
I
just
did
took
a
away-
matte black wash,
Yeah.
and I painted it on, and then I wiped it off, and it just kind of subdued everything, and then I just did a gray dry brush, and brought out all the the edges and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well done.
But the best thing I got, I went to the flea market Sunday. I always go, and it was lousy because it was Labor Day weekend, so it wasn't a lot of dealers there.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get kicked off the show just because of what I'm going to tell you. What I paid for this, just what I paid for this. You're going to die. But check this out: a vintage Dr. Evil. Look at that. Look at that. You know what's amazing?
In the field.
This is the rare. This is the rare flesh colored version. We know Dr. Evil comes
Yeah.
in blue,
Never seen that one before.
and this is Dr.
I'm
Evil's
dying.
take on Angela Bell. This is the Which Way to the Beach.
That's the best.
This wasn't my idea, Paul. Not my idea.
It's going to be a really short show tonight. I'm just telling you. For the people in the chat room, I apologize. And for
what it's worth,
yeah,
mine talks. Has a little button.
Oh.
It says I got to put a battery in it, but it says things like, "Let's stretch those hammies." Pretty good. It was on the dollar table. Anyway,
Okay. Oh,
I had
I don't
nothing.
know how the hell this happens. Oh,
Oh, God.
Had nothing to do with it.
please,
Shout out
Action
shout out
Joe
to
Figs,
Ernie
please
Addict.
do not fuel the fire here.
Shout out to Ernie's Attic. I watched his last video. He's
Yeah.
doing a giveaway thing, and Mike's GI Jojo.
Yeah,
I'm saying that
Jojo.
wrong. We made a good trade. Waiting for that to come up and
Yep.
to show up in the
nice.
mail. Appreciate Paul's help on that.
Yep.
So very good. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for helping me out. with your
No
big-
problem. And
with
make
your
sure you get
friend.
one of those. Make sure you get one of these to Ernie. He's the only one in the
Ernie's
chat
gonna
that wants
get-
one of those. Yeah.
Oh, there's more.
He's the only one. No, I think someone else.
That's the only one that wants one. Yeah.
I think we could make a fortune.
Yeah. Well, that about wraps up the show tonight. If we didn't have to get to our special guest, we could just go right now. Damn. All
I
right.
really
Well,
apologize, but I'm going to tell you, you did say last week, "Are we done with the Paul Knapp thing now?" With the feet? And I said, "Oh, it's up there. Remember that?" You brought it up, so I'm like, "Okay,
I
okay."
should have kept my mouth shut, man.
You're a
Oh,
good
we love
sport.
you, Paul.
You really are. You're a good sport.
We got Michael Burke with us tonight. How you doing, sir?
Hey.
My sister decided to join in as well. Is this Murray? Murray, you're on.
Yeah.
Murray, you're on the show.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to chat.
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
All you have to do is talk, Murray. You don't have to chat. You just talk. Let me scroll through here. Big Boss Jack is here. Of course, he's laughing his ass off. I had somebody contact me this week and sent me a really cool text message via Facebook. Said he always watches the show, but he hides in the background. He doesn't like to get in there. So I'm not going to bring up his name, but if he wants to chime in, he said he really likes the show. He gets a lot of laughs. I'm sure he's getting some good laughs tonight. So, what else? What else is going on before we bring in Mr. Senior here?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Nothing?
It's hot down here. All that laughing. It's hot.
Yep.
You're in your basement. All right. Well, I know what I have to talk about. I have a video that I got to show you guys.
Oh,
Oh, no.
Yeah, I got somebody from the AOA that sent me a couple things that he's working on.
Oh, nice.
So I put a little slideshow together. I'm gonna put everybody in the green room so you can watch this.
Murray,
there's
you
no-
gotta relax, dude.
I'm not bringing you back in if you might,
I told you.
this might be the shortest show ever tonight.
Told you he was going to kick us off.
So what'd you guys think of that?
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the little Range Rover or whatever that was, that green
Yeah.
thing.
You guys know
Yeah, he
Filmaholic,
does.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, he does cool stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll show that again with us up here. And it was just short. He said it was a couple things he was working on, so he wanted to send a couple pics our way. I don't know if he's getting into flocking. I know he's been working on that vehicle there. That's a cool figure right there. It's going on the right. I'm kind of
Yeah,
digging the, you know,
And that vehicle's cool.
yeah, the vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Which, the Humvee or the Range Rover?
Range Rover, yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
Range Rover. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
guess who's in the green room again? Jim
Oh,
from
no.
New York. Jim from New York just signed in, but I'm not sure if he knows he did. So Jim's going to be on here in 2 weeks. So if he's watching or if he's texting in. So
Cool.
all right. Well, I'm not going to keep Senior waiting much longer. Let's go ahead and bring him in, and we might have to fill him in on what the Paul doll's all about. But coming to us from an undisclosed area, because we're not allowed to tell where he's at, because he's been on the FBI wanted list for the last 20 years. This is Paul Harrison Sr. We're just going to call him Senior tonight. How you doing, sir?
Welcome.
Yes. Good evening.
Thank you.
I,
Thank you for inviting me here tonight.
well, I'm
I
not sure after you
appreciate
just saw that opening if you really wanted to be here now.
it. I was told this isn't what the show was going to be about, but thanks, Stacy. I appreciate it, and I can make 500 of those dolls if you want. I'm just letting you know that ahead of time.
I think it's a one-time run. I think it's just
No. We got 2 different versions going
two
here.
or two or three in existence.
Just need some head sculpts.
I can do 250 and 250 then. That's fine.
Sure. Well, Rick's version is really pretty good too. Looking at that little muscle guy.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah, I did too. So okay.
So Senior, before we start off with the hard questions, like when did you lose your virginity and things like that? For those individuals that don't know much about you, can you tell them how you got started in?
At this point, I'm ready to walk off camera because that was the most unprofessional display
I never said this was a professional show.
Life.
We never said this was a professional show, sir. Can you tell us how you got started with Third Son Books?
I got started with Third Son Books by pulling the pants down on a G.I. Joe in the middle of a store and sending a picture to my brother. And he said, buy it. They're worth a ton of money. Prior to that, I was a poor kid from Queens, New York, and we didn't have much. I had The Secret of the Mummy's Tomb. And
Perfect set.
just quit my job working for the Department of Education because my accountant said it was a good idea. Smart man. And I started doing eBay, selling anything that would stand still long enough to have a picture taken of it. But the whole G.I. Joe thing was true. Walked into a secondhand store. I said, what is this? It's an old G.I. Joe, obviously, but I didn't know anything about the military vintage line because I was born in 1966. I'm a kung fu grip guy with the beard and the fuzzy stuff that Stacy likes to put together for us all. And and the rest is history, but you throw in a dab of sell a piece of property in Europe and, you skimp and you save and how do you invest your money and you keep reinvesting whatever you're making. And eBay was not that bad back then, and we weren't getting killed with the taxes. I know it's not a political show.
No.
But one thing led to another, and then the whole crane fiasco. We'll talk about that another time. But then I met a lot of really, really interesting people, and I'm being really honest when I say, I think it was Sir Isaac, this is my only quote of the day. What Sir Isaac Newton basically said, you know, we stand on the shoulder of giants. And I've been standing on giants' shoulders for the last probably 17 years. You know, Stacy, Rob, Jim Heinen, Greg Brown and Tina over at Cotswold, and, you know, all the foreign and international guys. Like I mentioned a little earlier when before the show started, half of the names I can't even remember anymore. And you meet a lot of really nice people, and they think you're okay. And, you know, my money's good apparently because they all just jumped on board. And anything I really wanted to do, they were like, yeah, okay, we could do that. Talking to Stacy on the phone the very first time in my old house, and he's like, I'll flock anything. I've flocked football helmets. I've flocked, you know. I was like, who the hell is this guy? And what the hell is he doing? You know? Oh, you know, I'm a former this and I've done that. My back hurts and everything, you know, those types of stories.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I'm gonna send you 20 GI Joe heads, and it's been like 20 every 3 months for the last 15 years, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
They keep selling.
Yeah.
So
We keep flocking.
that's my joke to my brother. I was like, they keep buying this stuff. I don't know why they keep buying it, so I'm gonna keep selling it. But we do strive to, I say we, I don't mean we, I mean the business, you know, me, my kids, whatever. I don't have a personal pronoun that I want to change or anything, but when I talk about the business, I go, I'm an English major. There's a plural singular. What can I tell you? And we've had a lot of fun, but we try to pick really, really, really good manufacturers and really, really good people to work with. And I'm telling you, I didn't come on here to plug me. I came on here to plug everybody else. Stacy's the best flocker out there. Okay. Rob Barker is the best boxing guy out there. I'm sorry if I'm offending other people. I apologize ahead of time. But, you know, Jim is the best boxer. You want to take all your parts and you want to throw them into a box and you want them sewed in professionally, and you want a museum quality piece like what's up on the wall behind me. You go to Jim Heinen. And there are a couple of places in China that I've sent stuff to, and they sent back pure and total chaos. I've sent stuff to India, you know, pure and total trash. And when you finally find your one manufacturer, and I don't want this all to be business. I know you guys like having fun, but when you find your one manufacturer, you better stay with them.
Sure.
If you're a business person. And
That makes sense.
everything behind me is brand new. It's some stuff is vintage, brand new, but the boxes are stellar. The work that's put into it. You know, the biggest compliment I ever got from a guy at a show was when we did a white tiger hunt. One of the first uniforms we did was a white tiger hunt uniform. And a guy came up to me. He goes, you know, this stuff is better than Hasbro did in the 60s and the 70s. And I took it as a serious compliment. And we sold 500 units of a uniform within less than a year. And that's because Juan Manuel from Spain bought probably 100 of them, and Cotswold bought probably 50 or 60 of them. And the stuff flew, and it's gone and never to be seen again. And people are like, go back, do that again. And it's like, I already did that gig. No, let's do something else. Let's find something else to do. But it's been fun. I've been doing this for 22 years. My wife wants to shoot me in the head. She keeps tripping over boxes, and I'm sure you've all heard that story before. That complaint. But I told Stacy and Jim this a long time ago, and I tell Greg and I told Rob, I'm not a collector. If I'm not making money, I can't keep it in the house. Otherwise, I will get thrown out. And then Jim turns around and says, we're going to put these things in boxes. And then Rob's like, yeah, we'll do the oversized window boxes. And then Stacy's like, why don't you keep one of each? Yeah. So that's
Hey, it's
my
always good
collection,
to have
my
the
stuff
sample.
hanging on the wall. That is not for sale, but I do have one exactly like each one for sale. Anyway, but they're all up on eBay, and they're not up on the website. They don't move as quickly on the website for some reason. But it's just been a total blast with all of these people. Then you've got people that have their own connections. I know 2 or 3 guys. There's a guy named Keith Justice who
Yep.
must be, hot and heavy with people in China because he just gets boxes load of one item. And then he offloads them to me sometimes. And, then you hook up, you hook up with something I'm not a maker. You hook up with makers and they start making you stuff, buttons, pins. I was disavowed at a show because I wasn't a maker. I don't know what I am. I just put stuff
Producer.
together in a box and get a couple of $100 a piece, but I don't make things. And then Stacy's like, that's not true. You make
Nope.
great Bullet Man boots twice a year. Yeah, because of the humidity. It's a chemistry equation. It really is. But that's a lot of fun, and it stinks up the house. And I was going to put in a hood, and then I didn't. And I'm regretting it now. But I'm glad I'm still in business after 22 years. And I do want to thank you guys for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. I feel it's an honor, and I will get Stacy back at some point in time for doing that to me. But that's okay.
Help!
Yeah, it's like when Jim Heinen goes, I'm tired of hearing you. You're stuck in your basement. You're not doing anything anymore. You're going to a show up in Newburgh, and I'm like, oh yeah, all right. Pack a van load of stuff, go up to the show in Newburgh, and I make $200. Like, yay, whoop-de-doo, I made $200. He's like, doesn't matter what you made. You got out. You did it again. It's like, God.
Right out of the house.
150 at a yard sale selling trash,
And you ain't got to go nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, we are getting out next year, so let's.
We're planning. I'm not going to say anything unless Stacy.
I already told them. They know. You can go ahead and say it.
Then we're going to try to get to the Texas show next summer or something like that.
No, we're gonna go to Kentucky.
Kentucky, whatever. Texas, Kentucky,
Don't go to the wrong
New York.
state.
It's all the same thing.
Go to the wrong state.
It's in the South. It's somewhere in the South.
It's kind of south of me.
Yeah.
But,
You already got a request from the chat room. Somebody wants you to make the GI nurse.
I can neither confirm nor deny anything with respects to the nurse, because as I was telling Stacy, one of the reasons why I don't like doing these types of things is because I leave myself open to just those types of statements.
Right.
That was just made. You should do this. And then there are about 5,000 other people out there going, you probably shouldn't do that. That's a hat from Ace. And
I was going to say, that looks like an Ace hat.
Ace on and see if Ace wants me to do that.
Yeah.
You do what you want to do.
You do what you want to do until your best friends say you better not do it or else. So I'm going to tell you, this is a rough business. I'm not going to mention names or bring up negative stuff, but Stacy's been there. He's seen it. He understands when you're in this part of the collecting part, the business end of it. The market share is so small. The tables are so limited. You can only bring so much to a show. And some schmuck brings, a boatload of brand new reproduction stuff to one of the biggest shows in the world. and I've got how many 4 people deep, Stacy, sometimes at the shows, and Stacy's looking behind me, and my son's like, "What are we doing here? This is insane." And they feel maybe I'm taking their market share or something like that, or it's a hard decision to make. I do it for fun. Okay,
honestly,
no one's-
senior,
no one's getting rich, and I would hate to be taking somebody's mortgage payment, is what I'm
and
getting
you're
at.
not,
No.
and you're
No.
not.
No.
But you're making it affordable for the guy who can't afford the vintage nurse inbox.
Thank you.
Like myself, I might be able to afford one from you, but I sure as hell would never own
Right.
one otherwise. And I
And
mean,
and
that's the
I'm not
reality.
stopping you from that reach, though.
That's
I'm not
right. If
stopping
I
you
want
from.
that vintage one, you're going to let me buy that. You're not going to stop me. You don't
Right.
care.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
so
know,
I'm not stopping
I'm
you
not-
from buying that $850 German blonde-haired, foreign head figure with,
No,
the German cross hanging there, even though I'm
no,
making them for
not
2 cents a
happening.
piece.
Yeah, exactly.
Because ask Stacy, I can talk at a show, and even Jim's like, you got to start doing the shows again. I'm a hawker. I talk. I was an
Good.
English teacher. I'll talk all day, good, bad, or indifferent. But I pull people in. They come and they sit. They come and they talk. I have semi-professional people stopping by. What's the difference? How can you tell a vintage from a contemporary or reproduction piece? And I like those conversations. And they'll tell you one of the biggest thing. One of our little sayings was, take your Joe out and play with it. And you can't take a $2,000 figure
Yeah.
out and play with it with your grandchildren. And
No,
the
not
finger
at all.
breaks and you're killing the kid with the doll and you're whacking. I don't condone that. I do not condone that, for the record. But the other thing was, I wanted, and people are like, yeah, you just want to make money. No, I don't just want to make money. I want to make having fun affordable again.
Yes.
And I'm not going
exactly.
to lie to you. Those are museum pieces behind me. They're not for the kids.
That's
They're
right.
for guys like us, maybe, that will enjoy a piece, understand what goes into it, and are willing to shell out anywhere from $350 to, I'm sorry, $700 or $800 for a flying space adventure.
Yeah.
With a reproduction jetpack. That's 3D printed and is of really decent quality. There's the playability on the 3D stuff. If you want to talk technical for just a moment, I don't think it's there yet, but I respect it. A canteen is one thing, but a flying space adventure jetpack, are you going to give that to a 12-year-old and have him sail that thing across the kitchen, from one end to another when you had to pay $125 for it?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
It's questionable, but I guess that's where I was getting at with the entire business. I know I can make money doing it. I have fun doing it because it keeps me busy, it keeps me involved. I'm never stagnant. I'm never dull when it comes to the reproduction stuff behind me. I'm always trying to get new ideas. If it's doable and it's reasonable, I will have the money for it. I've never claimed poverty in my entire life, except when I was 7 years old and I can only get one GI Joe for my 7th birthday. That was it. That was after that. I was selling paper pads on the street corner for $1 for 3 because my father was an offset pressman. He took home scraps and he put the stuff together and we were making money, but never cried poverty in my life. I've got the money. I've got the investment capital. I know what the budget can hold. It's a real business. I pay taxes. I've got a New York State ID number. I would go into classrooms in schools and I would, teach them ground up in a 45-minute period, how do you start a business? And I think 2 things were important. One thing, to teach the kids anybody can succeed, if given some opportunities, obviously, given some investment capital. And the other thing is, if we are not actively getting the younger generation into this hobby, it's going to die out. And that would be a
Yep.
sad thing, not because of the money aspect. Money is good. But, Hasbro did something a long time ago. And
Yep.
if I'm going to say thank you, I've got to start there. They took a chance, they created something, and it's lasted all these years.
That's right.
And I wish they would have never stopped. The whole Walmart thing, thank you. The whole Walmart and the Hot Topic and the majors figures were just, mind blowing. $10 for an action figure
I know.
with
And yet
a
they can't
holster and a
produce-
pistol and a
Walmart.
uniform and
Walmart.
boots.
Yeah.
And they sat on the shelves in some stores,
Yeah.
and it made no sense.
No.
I just went in and bought them after 2 months. So that's another story.
They're
I
starting to
told
get
Stacy-
dusty.
I told Stacy, Hot Topic had them on their website, and they let me buy 100 of the damn things. So what am I supposed to do? Not?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
Jump
the
on it.
business end of me. I have a problem. I have a disease. You all have yours. I could see it behind you. I understand it. Mine.
I mean,
No, not at all. Stacy, how long did it take you to unbox those things? Of course. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. I apologize. I'm not going there.
I didn't
But
what?
we all have our thing. But with me, it's not a collection. It's stock. And my
Yeah.
wife's like, "Oh, go downstairs. Look at Paul's collection." And I'm like, "It's not a collection. It's a business. It's stock." And then Jim's like, "I got to come into your house." And Stacy's like, "I'm coming down. I'm coming down, man. I know you have an extra bedroom. I'm coming down."
I just sleep on the floor. I'll sleep on the floor. I don't care. I'll sleep right there.
And it's a lot of fun. But before I forget, happy Labor Day to everybody. I know it's late on the East Coast. I don't know what your West Coast people are like, but I did want to say that we're assuming at one point in our lives we were all hardworking individuals. We may not be as hardworking now, but we put in our time, and maybe we get a pension check or two, or maybe we don't, and that's okay. And maybe we still work, but I do want to say this is, the day for the people. This is for all the workers, and I want to thank you all for taking some time away from your grilling. I know the South has barbecue, which is a little different than grilling. We throw charcoal on a fire and cook some meat for 5 minutes, and we call that a barbecue in New York. But thank you all for coming in. And my life's an open book. You can ask me just about anything within reason, if it's business related. But to go back to that nurse thing, you have to think about what's involved. Okay. And the minimum is 500 on everything. And if it comes to plastic, the minimum then becomes 2,000. If it's a metal part, it becomes 5,000. And I do have to thank on Labor Day the workers in other countries. Okay, whatever our political, and this isn't a communist statement because Stacy knows I'm not a communist in any way, shape, or he's going, I don't remember that.
I don't know you.
The workers that put this stuff together. If it's slave labor, I can't do anything about it. I really can't.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
All I know is they are good at what they are doing. And in the stuff, some things I've gotten done in India are unbelievably great. So, some of the stuff I've get done, it's beautiful work. And I can't say anything. All I can say is if you were involved in any of the manufacturing of my stuff, whether it be Pennsylvania or I can't even pronounce the areas in China I get my stuff from. God forbid they should be listening to this podcast.
I don't think we have anybody in China listening.
Thank you, because you've made some people happy, even if it's old men. And take your Joes out and play with them. That's all I have to say.
I know we got questions, but I just wanted to ask you one before you got started in the other ones. The name Third Son Books. Where'd you come up with that?
Okay. The joke is I was an English teacher for the 14th time. So what do? I collect books. I used to read Robert Heinlein. I would collect illustrations of his, and I'm the third son. So my
Okay.
parents had three boys. I'm the youngest. So that's where the third son came from. And when I began, before pulling the G.I. Joe pants down, I used to sell vintage books. So the original company's name was Third Son Books. And my brothers would do yard sales. My other brother used to sell toys. And then it flipped magically. So I started selling toys and he started selling books, which is absolutely hilarious when you think about it. But why bother going through the whole rebranding process and applications and fees? So I just kept the name Third Son Books. And at a lot of shows, or if you go, all you hear is instead of Third Son Books, it gets abbreviated to Here Comes Third Son. So not much of a story, but that is where we got Third Son Books from.
Cool.
Thanks.
Ask away, gentlemen.
I just tell you, you're just 3SB. That's what I say.
Yeah.
To everybody.
3SB.
3SB. Yeah.
3SB. Yeah, that was just shortened. And I paid a kid, a graphic artist, $50. I said, come up with some idea. And I can't find it. I can't come up with his demonic 3SB emblem that he came, it's got points and arrows and things all over the place. So I was brainstorming for that circular thing behind me. And we were coming up with, I got a 3-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and we're brainstorming at the dinner table in the old house. And I was like, we have to start branding. And I literally wrote this down as a note. Branding is very important if you're going into business. And if you don't have an emblem, and if you don't copyright it, which is simpler than you might think, someone's going to copy it and steal it and take your money away from you. And I know we all pirate movies and music and stuff like that. Branding is very, very important. Yeah, very, very important. And we came up with the whole 3SB design. It's half of the yin and yang, and the other half is, the AT emblem. And then we gave it back to the kid that we paid the $50 for. And he came up with a couple of options, and we settled for that. And I thought it was, fun. I thought it looks good. And then Stacy did his emblem, and then I did an emblem for Jim Heinen, but I don't think he's really done anything with that. Yeah, why don't you get Jim on here?
He's on in 2 weeks.
He's on in 2 weeks.
Yes, and then we can have some fun with Jim. And
there you go.
I did patches for him and everything, and I was really trying to push for him to start branding some of his stuff that he was doing, and I could cross reference him on all of my boxes. And that's the thing. I wrote at the very end, I want to thank you guys for letting me play in your backyard. Okay, this is, it's from a science fiction writer, Larry Niven. He's, he lets writers come in and use his settings, and then they can write their own stories, and then he publishes them. And I like doing that. I like letting other people come in as well. I have no problem putting anybody's emblem on if they're working with me on a particular project. If Stacy does a head, if I can put the business card in there, it gets put in there. And I'm doing a show, and I, asked Stacy for his business cards and 15 other people, and obviously they don't get them to me, but that's a whole nother story. I try.
He did. He did try. I
ask,
forgot to include him on his shipment.
Yeah,
I'll have to get to him.
Sure. The show's in November. I'm just letting you know that now. It's not a big show, but I want 100 business cards from everybody. And it's free advertising. And I like making other people. Yeah, Dream Park and Ring World. Larry Niven. I like making other people money. That's another problem I have. And people don't believe me when I say that. I'm the idiot in Monopoly trying to make deals happen so the game actually, we get to go home for dinner. type of thing. And same thing when I sell like non-GI Joe things. Guys like, this was worth 10 times the amount. I said, good, have fun with it, make money, sell it on eBay again. I don't care.
Whatever. Yep.
I just wanted it out of my house,
Mhm.
So I do try.
You got another question here from Mike's GI Dojo.
I think we kind of answered that earlier before
Yeah.
we opened up. That
You're-
I think my dream product would be to get some psychopath to help with the major investment and to do the ATV in multiple colors, because I hear there is a small segment of the collecting population out there that want a purple ATV or want, I'm not kidding, or want a translucent green ATV with sparklies inside of it, or a
Yeah.
white moon rover.
Well, that
Obviously,
That I
tan,
could see real easy. I
red,
know some guys have done it.
green, black, yellow, maybe. So
What a
that's
novel
not
concept.
necessarily my dream product. That's my dream project, because once again, we only have 8,155 cranes left, and it would be nice if we did like 10,000 ATVs in various colors, and I could stick a black crane on them at some point, just to get them out of here.
So for people that don't know, do you want to go into the whole crane thing, or is that a whole nother
Okay,
episode?
the whole crane
Or is
thing
that a
was
whole nother episode?
after the end story was my brother, who died of COVID. Thank you very much. I appreciate your sympathies. And left me a couple of $1 million. Took out a stickball bat when he found out that I spent $25,000 on the project. I took $25,000, and it's multiple pieces. Obviously, the crane has like,
Mhm.
I could sit here and count or take it apart, like 7 regular parts. There are 2 metal parts. There's 3 metal parts. There's the string. Then you have to do the pulley, which is another metal part, unless you do the foreign version that has a 2 male pieces that slip in to the U-shaped thing. I don't want to get too technical here, but you are talking, and the cleats that go in the back, but those were done beforehand. So if you throw it all together, talking with people from China, met a very nice Indian guy that spoke Chinese, living in Hong Kong at the time, and then he moved back to China. Yes, all the political stuff that I don't want to get into. And back then, it was fairly cheap to cut a mold. You're talking $3,000 or $4,000, but it was 2 molds that had to be cut with multiple cavities, and it became rather costly. And then the trick was, we didn't include shipping in that amount. So when everything landed, all said and done, all the different parts, before, Paul starts putting them together, which is rather involved, and then bagging them and then getting the rope for them and things along that line, came out to about $25,000 total in basically 3 or 4 different payments. But there is a little, but there. I was a real idiot at the time, because I ordered 10,000 extra booms, because the tips of the booms used to break off. So I figured I would, sell them for $5 or $6 a piece. If I sold 20 booms in the last 7 years, I'll be lucky, because apparently only my original broke. And then we made 10,000 extra of the locking handles, and I may have sold about 100 of those for repairs. And if anybody knows anything about those cranes, they're nearly impossible to repair unless you heat them up and, you're Stacey Armstrong. You can send your damaged cranes to Stacey, and he'll fix them for free. See, I learned fast, guys. Thank you. The cranes are the bomb. They are unbelievable. At one point in time, I couldn't get $3 for them, and now,
I have one, man.
you know, when I became a little bit more mature and said I don't care anymore, I was getting about $15 a piece for them, and they're probably worth about $15 a piece because they are high quality plastics and they go together. They fit very well together. I think the killing I made were on the cleats for the handles for the back of the ATV. Those we did on the cheap locally in Brewster, New York, not more than 3 miles away from me. And when I say on the cheap, the entire project cost me $3,000. Some guys I met online at one point in time, unbelievable. And those things I can get $5 or $6 a piece. You know, business end and the fun end have to come together to make it. You know, Foot Locker handles. That's very funny that the guy mentions the Foot Locker handles, and it's another aspect of the business end of this that most collectors aren't even thinking about it. It's there are plastic Foot Locker handles and there are the cloth Foot Locker handles. And if you're not willing to do your research as a seller or a reseller or a project-minded individual, you're talking days, weeks, months, not hours to find. What do you call that? You know, Hasbro did something, but Hasbro never did anything original. They made it ever so slightly different as far as size, color, material was concerned. But half of the stuff that Hasbro put in their sets or used to build a set, what was out there, they just changed it. And there's a company that makes, don't laugh, tassels for graduation. Okay. And that company makes this twisted rope with the metallic pins on the end. I forget what they call them, spike or pin or something like that. And they literally sell them 3 feet, 2 feet, 1 feet. They will make one 20-foot long if you want. And I said I needed it, whatever it is, 7.5 inches with the, you know, the brass on the end. And they're like, got to buy 150 of them at a time. And I'm like, what am I going to do with 150 of these rope handles? And they're natural. And that's when, you know, someone like Stacy comes in. It's like, I just dye the freaking things, you know? Yeah, okay. Just dye them like I'm an expert at dyeing clothing, you know? So you're taking 150 and you're throwing salt, making a salt bath with cold water, and then you're mixing some. Oh, but I'm not a maker. Just remember that. I don't make things, okay? Never. Right? And then you're stirring them in the bathtub, which happens to be made of acrylic and does retain dye. Just warning you. And you're stirring it, and then you got to clean them, and then you got to throw them in the washing machine to rinse them, and then you got to dry them. No, you don't. You let them drip dry for a week and a half. Otherwise, they get all tangled up and they become a ball and you make mistakes. And that's what I call project management from beginning to end. And the Foot Lockers, I've got the example of the Foot Locker behind me here, working with, you know, a molding company. There you go. The Adventure Foot Locker. I was working with a mold making company, mold as in the wood molding. And I said, here's what I want done. And then the question is, how many do I need to make? Well, it's linear feet. It's not numbers. Oh, okay. You need to buy, you know, 300 linear feet before we'll even touch this project. And it's 2 different parts and blah, blah, blah. And then there's the top, and then there's the decals, and then you got to build the damn thing. And who thought that piano hinges were that expensive? And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, okay. But then the fun really starts. Okay, multiple examples. The hardware for the old Hasbro Foot Lockers are one-piece hardware. There are no screws involved, so there's no pre-drilling, drilling. They were done with a
little pins.
A barb. That's what it is. A
Yeah.
barb.
Barb.
And I have an example of that standing right here, and I wasn't even planning on thinking about this, but they're made with a barb. You see that?
Huh.
That's nice, huh? How do you get that into wood without splitting it? Okay. With a 7-ton jack, apparently, that they will lend you for free if you buy, 5,000 pieces. So I found the original company. It's not that hard. It's on the back of the hardware. Okay. Went to them and I said, you did this work for Hasbro. They don't know for nothing. They're all young people, but they got some old guy. Sorry. He was probably in his 60s at the time. He said, yeah, we did work for Hasbro. What do you want? I said, I need these barbed hinges and I need the manner in which you press it into the wood. He goes, you're not going to do that. And I was like, oh, okay. He goes, we'll sell you this stuff, but you don't want, a 7-ton jack and it's got an anvil attached to it and these arms that swing in to hold it. It was a nightmare. So we went to actual hardware, but I bought these and I was selling them to people. Apparently they have 7-ton jacks in their garages.
No,
Only
you
Stacy.
take a drill bit and you drill.
Yeah.
You mark it first and you drill a couple times, 2 or 3 times
Now,
through, and then you press it in.
Those guys at this molding company were very nice. We did, 60 Foot Lockers in 3 different colors, and they spray painted them for us. And we use a varnish that comes from a specific company. I can't even remember what it was. And then they said, we're reclaiming barns now. Goodbye. So they went into the reclamation of barns and they were cutting the wood up and doing hotel lobbies because that was all the rage maybe about 10 years ago. So around the corner from my house, there was a woodworker who was a carpenter, who was a tunnel rat in Vietnam. And who knew that he wasn't just an electrician and a bomb maker by trade, professionally in the Army way back when. And Mike is a great guy, and he comes over maybe 3 times a month and works on my house for me at a very reasonable price. And I said, can you do this? And I said, I need this many. What do you need to make money? And blah, blah, blah. And here's the paint and here's the samples and blah, 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 blah. And it was a lot of fun because it came out to, X price at 16 at a time. And this is what we need to do. And then you slap a decal on it. And he came the first day with a sample with all sanded, nothing, no lines or anything. I said, no, my guys don't want that. They want it looking like semi-raw. They want to look, the spaces got to be there and everything. It's got to look like the original, but not be the original. He's like, oh God, I'm taking $5 off the price per item. I was like, there we go. And, he had a whole wood shop, a 1,000 square foot wood shop with a leaky ceiling, the whole 9 yards. It was a lot of all the tools. He was a real carpenter and a real electrician. He had, a license and everything, and he would repair people's houses for them. And then he decided, I'm going to drop the license, but I'll still do your Foot Lockers. And I said, beautiful. I love that. So whenever I need the Foot Lockers made, he does that. But the whole entire idea about, project-based sales is fairly intensive. And I'm working on one of them right now, which I cannot speak of. And Stacy's like, that's okay, Paul, you can tell people. And when you think about, 14 pieces that go for a set, and what are people going to pay for that? Where are you going to get your money back? This for me, it can't just be fun. There's got to be some justification about spending my children's inheritance at some point. So they all have jobs. They're fine. Trust me, my kid's making more money than I am as a resident assistant in a school. It's literally, it's making a lot coming off of his tuition payment, and it's a good thing. And I think I raised, go-getters and people with a decent business idea in the mind, even though they don't do this. I've got one son that has a t-shirt company, and the other one does eBay, but more anime stuff and, Yu-Gi-Oh cards and things along that line. And they all have their tax ID numbers. They're all doing everything legitimately, and they all have real jobs. I've got an IBM genius in-house making good money, and the other one's he does laboratory work for Sloan Kettering in Manhattan, and the little one's gonna kill them all. And he's gonna, I told Stacy he's gonna be an electrical engineer with a 4 or 5 year degree, and he's probably gonna make more money than all of them combined. And I wish him. And he got an internship over the summer working for an electric company doing assessments, because New York City has to be all upgraded, and it's a bloody nightmare. All these buildings that have to be redone. Not political. Anyway, but no, I think you've got a great group of people. I'm trying to answer questions while look at some of them, and it's interesting this stuff's coming out. Thank you all, by the way, because everybody goes, I bought one of those, I bought 3 of those, I love this is great. I want to thank everybody chiming in, because it gives me inspiration to keep doing this.
Are you attending any convention soon or toy show soon?
Well, that's up to Stacy and Jim. I don't fly well, and I don't drive well.
What's left?
Let me tell you, I'm both claustrophobic and agoraphobic, where you're scared of the open areas and crossing bridges and viaducts that are 200 feet off the ground and open spaces on either side of you. And mountain driving in Pennsylvania, it's fairly nightmarish. So I'm going to probably drive down to Jim's going to drive down to me, because I'm further south than he is. And then we'll meet up with Stacy in Kentucky. That's where we're going to go. We're going to go to Kentucky.
Yeah, a year from now. Yeah.
A year from now. Stacy's like, Paul, they don't want to talk about a year from now. I said, make them talk about a year from now.
Yeah, I can't.
I can't do this stuff next week.
November or something like that. Then we can start talking about it.
Well, people said they bought stuff from you and Joe Lanta, so you must have went to Joe Lanta before.
I did. No, we have done shows.
Oh, okay.
Right. COVID gave a lot of people a big swift kick in the you-know-what.
Yeah.
My kids would go to Comic-Con with me afterwards. Because, again, when you're in the medical field, you hear a lot of things. So I have to have a little bit of fun. I went to Comic-Con the year they reopened, and it was dead. I pulled out of Joe Lanta that last year because I was hearing, and I was telling everybody, and I was hearing things from my people in Italy and my people in China, that things were going to blow up with this disease. Purely non-political, not talking where this came from, that came from. This is something happening, and you guys over there need to be made aware of it. And then I didn't hear from them for like 2 or 3 months, and things worried me. So I pulled out of Joe Lanta that year, but I think right before that was the New York Toy Fair, which is just for like buyers. And obviously there was nobody from Asia, nobody from India, Taiwan, China, Hong Kong. They weren't allowed out of their own country. We had stopped them from coming in. So that put the nix on the whole business. So you saw the holes in the New York Toy Fair. And I can't even remember what happened afterwards, but I sure the heck wasn't going to any more shows for a while. But things have opened up. Things have gotten better. We understand things a lot better. And it's time to get back into, the other groove. And that's where I joke around about Jim going, you got to get out of your basement. Come on, let's get with the program here. Okay, thank you, And then I did a couple of small toy shows in Connecticut. Nothing to write home about, nothing to even mention. They do a small vintage, a lot of paper. A lot of old books, a lot of sci-fi stuff, a lot of posters, books, records, things along tapes. various stuff like that. And I'm almost at the point where I could take that over in 2.5 seconds and fill the room up with 20 tables without any problem at all, and just call it Third Son Books, toy show,
Yeah.
contemporary reproduction toy show, something like that, and have fun. It's still too far for Jim to drive, because it'll be like an hour for him to get up to Connecticut by me. But if anybody is in the New Milford, Connecticut area, there's a little toy show they run like 2, 3, 4 times a year. It's nice people. No one's getting hurt. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And the people bring money. Unless it's a nice day, then they're all out in the fields having fun. You need a good rainy day to have a toy show, It's
Right,
scary.
right. Hey, we're over the hour mark already, and I know we only asked you like 3 questions, but
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 9:06. I should keep my mouth shut.
Rick's been sitting there nice. He had a whole list of questions to ask, and he can't even ask you. So.
So, Senior, you are, and I'm basing this question on something I heard several years ago, but you are still very much in business.
Thank you.
You right? Because I heard
I
you.
try to be.
Well, yeah, definitely.
I heard you were like liquidating. You were getting out of it.
My joke in all seriousness is I'm 57 years old. Okay, that's not old. My wife just retired at the age of 60. Okay, I had 2 jobs in a past life, so I do get 2 very small pension checks. I'm not going to say the passing of my brother set me up for life, because it didn't, because I do have 3 kids. We moved to a bigger house, which means I could keep the job for about 10 years. And this is the 2nd year we're here. So I figured I got 8 more years that I could do this. I plan to live to see the tricentennial of these United States. Okay, that will make me 110. I hope not to be doing this in 10 years. Not because I don't want to. It's because I am very serious that I would like to pass this along to someone that might actually, I don't want to play Willy Wonka, okay? I would like some money for the business. You know what I'm saying? I would like to pass this along because it is a job for a young person that's willing to go 4, 5, 6 shows a year, go to the flea markets during the summer, buy cheap stuff, sell them to Stacy and Ace and people like that because they're vintage, so they can rehab the stuff. There are so many facets to this business to keep 1, 2, possibly 3 human beings busy at a single time. But you need to have somebody else in the family pulling in the benefits for health and welfare.
Yeah.
And in case things are slow, so you've got to be a young guy that just married a young teacher that's going to be making $120,000 in 25 years, right? That pulls in the benefits. And then doing this full bore, you could probably pull in gross another $80,000 to $90,000 a year doing this.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore. Okay. I can't.
You've eased up.
It's hard to explain. I've got so many other things to do, but it's fun. It makes money. And if somebody said, you know what, I am not college bound, and there's nothing wrong with that because I've got 3 degrees in education, and it doesn't mean anything. I sell toys for a living for the last 22 years.
Amen.
Okay? But if you're not going to take the college route, and maybe you did military service, maybe your father's got or your mother's got a couple of $100,000. Not that I want a couple of hundred, but you need to constantly reinvest. And this is the teacher side of this. If there was somebody like that, I would sign confidentiality agreements. I would have them back up a box truck. They could take everything. I worked with them for a couple of years, and I would say, have at it. Enjoy it. All seriousness, I would probably do that in a freaking minute, okay? Because it would be that relief off the top of my head. At the same time,
it would carry on.
What was that?
And also knowing it would carry on.
Yeah. It will keep going. I've talked to each one of my kids, okay? They're like, yeah, that's nice. No, thank you. and not because they don't appreciate it or that it's not their thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I
and
get that.
one of them wants to do video games. One of them wants to do scale figures. If you play Warhammer, OMG, there is so much money in Warhammer right now. It is disgusting. Unfortunately, I don't know you guys that well, but I know Stacy. Stacy would be perfect because you have to literally want to sit there and paint miniature eyeballs for 8 hours a day,
Yeah, right.
15 times, because you have to layer the paint, Dad. No, I don't layer paint. I put one
And
coat
you-
of enamel on a 172 scale figure and it looks like garbage and I don't care, you know?
Well, obscene paint. So, but you can't quit because you're Santa.
Yeah, no,
Everything you
no, you see, I always tell people that's the biggest insult to me is calling me Santa because I'm not freaking jolly, okay? I was an assistant principal for a K through 8.
You
Why
poor soul.
would you pick me
So,
to be the
so you're
assistant principal?
masochistic, is what you're saying.
I'm an organizational genius. That's why, because I can do all of the exterior stuff that makes 3 school buildings with a $3 million budget work. Don't
Yeah.
give me cute. I don't want to go to the pageant. I don't want to do the Halloween dress up thing because I almost got fired for that. Long story. I want his death. Who knew?
Costume appropriate.
Hey, senior, we could go all night with you, man.
Yeah.
But
That's
it is
probably up to you.
school. It is a school night, you know, and
Yeah.
some of us have to work tomorrow.
And I thank you all again on Labor Day. I thank you all for inviting me in. I really, really appreciate it. This was fun. You can literally get me to talk for freaking
I could tell that.
5 hours a day. And,
Hey, I do have 2
Stacey's
questions. I got 2 questions I got to
Go
ask.
right ahead.
I ask every guest this, and since you're a new guest, you're gonna have to get the 2 questions that I always ask. Okay, first off, favorite toy when you were a kid?
Favorite toy?
Doesn't have to be
there's
doesn't have to be
many.
G.I. Joe,
Jeez,
just-
yeah. Favorite toy? We would play with Mark's Battleground Army Men every day over the summertime. Our father was a survivor of World War II bombings on the island of Malta. The good guys always won. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. The Germans always lost no matter what. And we used fireworks. We made our own catapults. You know, we did everything. So, I mean,
Right.
G.I. Joe was cool, but I only had one, you know, so it was hard to play with other people. Same thing, the Fort Apache by Mark's. Mark's stuff back then was pretty good. I think we had the smaller scale MPC play sets as well, but we were always, and then we ended up with some astronaut, red, white, and blue astronauts with spaceships and missile launchers, and I don't even know what those were called.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
and then it was, you know, Army Men versus the aliens type of thing, and we would have pitch battles in our backyard. So I would go with the Mark's play sets. That was, you know, something that we lost so much stuff just digging in the backyard with it.
Yeah. And my last question, what is your best childhood memory regarding your toys? Could be a Christmas, birthday, anything like that, maybe.
Well, you know what? I have to bring it back to what I do now. And you know, I don't want tears or anything like that because we went to Catholic schools. And if anybody knows anything about Catholic schools, they were not just physically abusive. They were mentally abusive. Good and bad, you know, it taught you to be stronger, to always question authority, even though you got whacked upside the head, things along that line. But I was out playing football one day. My brother threw her. I went up and I fractured my pinky and I had to get a splint put on. And I had a psychopath of a 3rd grade teacher who I will not mention by name, who, because I was, quote unquote, hurt, I got put in a corner. Don't ask. You know, maybe they were trying to protect me or something like that. And my friend stood up and said, I'm going to sit with Paul in the corner. And the teacher let him. That kid, he might be out there. I can mention his name. His name was Edward Moriarty. and he was from Queens originally, and I'd have no idea where he moved because we didn't have stuff to connect with people. We were too young to even write letters and stay in touch. But for my 7th birthday, right, the one thing my parents did was have parties occasionally. So for my 7th birthday, they threw a basement bash for us. And Edward Moriarty gave me The Secret of the Mummy's Tomb
Cool.
Wow.
for my birthday.
That's very
And
cool.
that
What a
had, I don't know what department store sold it because I have no recollection of it or what it cost, but I'm telling you, it could not have been a cheap gift.
No.
And it's a gift that is physically with me in this basement right now in the back. Now the cats tore apart the box and I washed the uniform and left it in a washing machine, but everything else is there. And I said to myself, when I ended up with a little bit of investment money, I want to reproduce that entire set. Okay. And I started with the crane, and you heard that story, but that's my best childhood memory with respects to a toy. I got some really interesting gifts for that one birthday. I got the creature from the Black Lagoon, Aurora model, and my father and I built it together, even though we left out all of the glow in the dark parts, which I was infuriated with my dad. But but that's another toy that I got. That it must be that the answer is that birthday party because
Good memory, man.
I had some decent friends and some friends that try to kill me afterwards. No kidding. And so there are a lot of good memories from that one birthday party with respects to toys.
Well, it was a great show, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Hopefully we
Very
can
nice
get you on
to meet
again
you
in the
too.
future, if you would.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to say this was easy.
But now that you've done it, it's easy to come
You
back.
can do it weekly.
Yeah.
There's an opening.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, I heard. I just don't know how long I can keep my collection here. This is workspace.
Wow,
But if
I just-
everybody bought just one, if everybody out there bought just one, I could have it all cleared up and I could do some more work and I could put some new stuff on. Somebody just wrote, I love the jewels that third
Yeah, I
son
just saw
Dope
that,
makes for the Mummy's Tomb, which was a fun project. It's cool. You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, brother. And
no problem.
stay on. Don't hang up yet. These
I could do
these guys have
500
an
of
after
those.
show. They have an after show. I'm not there, but they do. So have a good night, everybody, and
Good
we'll
night.
see you soon.